Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rex and this is The Orks, Warhammer 40,000 by the channel The Templin Institute. All across the universe, one can find orcs, beings of impossible strength and resilience. When warring amongst themselves, they can hardly be considered a threat to other life, but when banded together are one of the greatest dangers to the universe. Yeah, orcs, apparently I realized that orcs are the constant threat to lots of, lots of Imperium worlds. Right, they constantly invade and entire worlds get lost apparently. So yeah, as far as I can remember from Bricky's video, orcs, are very vast in numbers. When they attack, it's like a sea of orcs are attacking, something like that. Their number is ridiculous, and they have power of apparently imagination. Right, basically, if they think something will work, it will work, whether it makes sense or not. So they can piece together certain wood planks thinking it's a weapon, and if they think that it's a weapon, it will be a weapon even though it shouldn't work. That is such a powerful weapon. I always think that that's such a fucking powerful weapon. And the orcs are such a wild card type of thing, right? That, like the description says, maybe they'll work or maybe they'll just fight among themselves and won't be much of a threat. It's such a 50-50 chance that is so fucking awesome. So yeah, let's do this one. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the cast for places like Warhammer 40k with all my Warhammer 40k videos and history, internet historian, and yeah, let's do this one.
Oi, you gits. Shut your gob and get your listening gear around this sogging announcement. The problem with this channel is there's too much learning and not enough fighting. Luckily, the boss is the solution to all this namby-pamby mucking about. Get your legs on over to Twitch, where we've been having a bash 3 times a week. Stellaris, XCOM, Battlefleet Gothic Armada, Total War, Warhammer 2, the boys have Crumpton good and proper in each one. Don't be a nothing but a stinking digger knob. Join the Templin join them Templin brain boys on Twitch.
Is that supposed to be Irish accent? The orcs. All of that, even before we begin. Let me get this right? I want to see how much I remember. So, the orcs and the eldars are basically were created by the old ones, right? The old ones that Necrons found, who's basically really old and powerful entity who refused to share their knowledge with the Necrons, basically. So there was 2 rival, races: the old ones versus the sky gods or whatever, right? Catan, as far as I can remember, right? Catan. Yeah, I think it's Catan. So old ones and Catans. So Catans basically trapped Necrons and made them their slaves, and they attacked the old ones. Old ones created eldars and orcs to defend it, and that's how orcs were born. Apparently, orcs at the beginning were not just simple war type of creature who simple-minded just want to do war, but eventually they became that. Yeah.
In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. Each day on a million worlds, armies clash in an eternity of carnage and slaughter to the laughter of thirsting gods. Across the galaxy, disparate forces muster their fleets in the grim hope that one day, victory might be claimed for the Emperor, the ruinous powers, the greater good, or 1,000 other lost causes. Most fail to realize that the universe in which they exist will not suffer any lasting triumph. Another day's survival is all that can be achieved. In this galaxy...
Yeah, this reminds me of the KD episode that basically I reacted to yesterday. In that, obviously, I misunderstood something. People basically pointed it out that Cadia is basically lost. There is no regaining it, apparently. Right? So there is no taking back of Cadia. It's completely lost. So the Cadia, basically Cadia fell, but the planet fell, but people of Cadia still stand. Something like that's how it goes. All right.
Hostile to every form of civilization, only one has managed to not only endure, but thrive. They are the most successful race encountered by man, seemingly built for war in every aspect. They are crude, savage, and possess only a low cunning. But while the great works of races 1,000 times more advanced lay in ruins, the ramshackle designs of the orcs thunder onward. Orc physiology is fascinating, terrifying, and contradictory in equal measure. They exist as a complex interweaving of two symbiotic organisms that somehow have been genetically linked. One strain is akin to any number of terrestrial animals found across the galaxy, while the other is a type of fungus, which prevails throughout an individual orc's bloodstream and skin. The animalistic component of their biology carries the genetic information for an orc's subspecies, while the fungus seems to possess the genetic information of the entire race. This latter aspect exhibits many other curious properties, including some kind of ingrained genetic memory or knowledge, a type of biosynthesis, a latent psychic ability, and the capacity to quickly recover from injury. Their ability to withstand tremendous punishment is the defining characteristic of the orc race.
Oh, so when the old ones created them, they created them, they engineered them in a way that they would be literally the perfect army, right? The symbiosis between animal and fungus. So, obviously that animal side would be more dangerous, but their fungus side basically makes sure that they never go extinct and they reproduce like hell. I remember somebody commenting in Breaky's video that when somebody defeats an entire orc force because of their fungus, eventually in some part of town or some part of jungle or whatever, the tribe of orcs emerges and it cycle repeats again. There is another orc invasion. They defeat that and again it happens because the fungus will always make sure the orc still survives. I mean, that's like, the never-ending streak of orcs. That's just fucked up.
They feel surprisingly little pain, even when horrifically injured, and can recover from nearly any type of wound. Orcs that have been literally cut apart have been known to survive when stitched back together, and beheaded orcs, whose heads were then attached back on their own or another's body, have been able to fully recover as well.
What?
While any other species would weaken or tire when subjected.
What? So if you cut their head off and if you reattach them, like, they'll basically come back alive again. That is just fucking next level. Does this have to do with anything with their power of imagination shit, right? Because they always believe that they are alive, right? They are never going to believe that they are dead, so they never die, right? Even when you cut their head off, they never die. When you reattach them, they're back again, I guess. Because power of imagination, let's be honest, that's pretty fucking, terrifying and strong thing. I mean, you can imagine literally anything and it will become reality. This makes me think that people like Old Ones and Catans were literally gods, right? Like how there are gods in the warp, these were literally gods. Because how can you create a race and give them power of imagination like that?
To constant physical harm over a prolonged period of time, the opposite appears true for the orcs. They can survive grievous wounds with little apparent long-term consequences, save some superficial scarring, and instead seem to develop physically the more damage they are able to endure. The average orc stands much taller than a man, although their typical hunched stance makes this not readily apparent. Orcs will grow all their lives, and a particularly skillful orc will continue to become larger and stronger until they are beaten or killed. Orc reproduction remains barely understood, but revolves around a kind of fungal spore.
Damn.
If left undisturbed, entirely self-sufficient communities of orcs can arise from these spores years or even decades after their predecessors were defeated or driven away.
There you go.
Like the extragalactic Tyranids, the orcoid race resembles an ecosystem composed of various subspecies arranged in a brutal hierarchy. Colloquially, these component species are referred to as greenskins. The first and least complex form of orc life to gestate are squigs. Squigs are themselves comprised of various subtypes used by higher forms of orc life for nearly every purpose. Oil squigs secrete a viscous black lubricant used to keep orc machinery functioning. Mending squigs can be used to suture limbs back in place, while facebiter squigs are little more than ravenous drooling mouths on legs and kept by orc warlords as a symbol of status. Other forms of squig life include parasite hunting squigs, bag squigs, and the rare and bizarre squig pipe, utilized as a musical instrument. The most common squig is the eaten squig, a limbless blob that feeds on orc refuse, which is in turn consumed by higher orc species. Feared above all is the squigoth, which range in size from that of a main battle tank to the titans used by the Collegia Titanica. Next to emerge are snotlings. Far too scrawny and weak to bear weapons and lacking the violent tendencies.
Okay, I feel like Fallout basically took super mutant and their, those hounds, which is also like super mutants, take inspiration from this. Maybe it's maybe a reach thinking like that, but come on, right? The dogs even looks like super mutants. That's the thing in Fallout. This feels pretty damn similar to it.
Of their larger brethren, snotlings instead cultivate the large patches of fungi that spread wherever orcs multiply. They provide food, drink, and medicine to the orc race, and possess a natural affinity for squigs, which they raise and then train. In battle, a snotling's only use is that of ammunition, fired from a cruel device known as the shock attack gun.
What?
Immediately above the snotlings in the greenskin hierarchy are the Gretchen, or grots. Of all the orc subspecies, they display the greatest capacity for cunning. They are fast learners and quick to spot an opportunity or weakness.
And creepy
Within
as F.
any
Look
orc
at that.
tribe, most serve as laborers, scouts, thieves, or even assassins. The Gretchen's instinct for self-preservation borders on a rudimentary sixth sense, although this is often not enough to prevent them from being forced into serving as living shields, minesweepers, or emergency rations. The above-average intelligence of the Gretchen has led to the emergence of an underground economy within their normally orc-dominated society. Many Gretchen operate their own black market businesses, selling fungus beer, roasted squigs, or gambling enterprises. The level of sophistication present in these enterprises is almost unknown elsewhere in the Greenskin civilization, and enables the Gretchen to enjoy relatively comfortable lives, while still existing as slaves to their larger masters. These subspecies
Ooh, I like that small detail there, which means it's like, how, basically we were when dinosaurs were roaming around. I mean, not literally like that, right? We were not like that, but, I don't know. It's basically, they are the underdog, even though they are smarter species. So I can see them in the future, basically, I guess by being, more technologically advanced, because they can actually achieve that rather than orcs who just wants to fight and basically. So maybe they'll dominate orcs, right? And become the dominant species because how smart they are, like how human became dominant species. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch because orcs sheer, sturdiness basically, and their power of imagination and shit. Maybe that makes them way too OP. That even though Gretchens must be really smart, it doesn't matter in the end because orcs are way too OP already. I don't know.
Endure a symbiotic relationship with their orc overseers, trading menial tasks in exchange for protection. Within the orcs themselves, the social hierarchy is straightforward and brutal. They will instinctively obey those larger than themselves, and while some might rise to prominence through cunning or deception, most seize power and retain it through the application of brute force. At the head of every orc horde is a warboss or warlord, typically the biggest and meanest of his kind, who has risen through the ranks to primacy by winning battles and killing any other challengers. First and foremost a powerful warrior, the warboss will hold absolute authority in his tribe or warband. The decisions of the warboss are enforced by a crude ruling caste of orcs known as knobs. A type of nobility amongst the orcs by the loosest definition of the word, the knobs have earned a position of prominence due to their greater than average size and strength. All others in an orc tribe are referred to as boys. Depending on their specialty in combat, they may be known as sluggaboys, shootaboys, ardboys, wild boys, or flyboys, while any orc intelligent enough to recognize which part of a grenade is thrown once the pin is removed is known as a stick bomber. A caste of specialists
Just simply boys, that's just funny. Alright, let's go boys, we're gonna attack Imperium, I guess.
also exists within the boys, orcs who have been born with specific information programmed into their minds that are released once they reach maturity. These so-called odd boys include pain boys or mad docs, who use their stabby bits as medical tools. The crude bionics that are sometimes implanted in higher-ranking orc are the work of pain boys, although their work in this area has the tendency to explode without warning. Psychers too exist within the orc race, referred to as weird boys. Unlike those in other races, these weird boys draw upon the innate psychic potential of the orc species itself, rather than the energies of the warp. This type of psychic power has its own dangers, however. Should a weird boy soak up too much of this energy, his head may explode, and the resulting backlash also explode the heads of any orcs nearby. Mech boys, or mechaniacs, serve as engineers and technicians who build all the weapons, vehicles, and other technology used by the orc race. Like every other advanced process associated with the greenskins, their work is notorious for suddenly exploding. Orc technology is one of the least understood facets of their civilization. It is almost...
It feels like whenever there's some kind of a war between, I guess, Necrons on Imperium, or maybe Chaos versus Imperium, whatever you choose, Tyranids. And then there's this orc attack, which is always funny. They're shooting real live things like it's a circus or something out of their guns, right? Their equipment could explode at any time. This is just fucking like a comic relief or something. This is just funny.
Always ramshackle and slapped together, yet functions as well or better than anything comparable within other species. The impossible nature of orc technology is believed to be a result of their latent psychic powers. If enough orcs believe something is true, it will actually become so, brought into existence through pure will. As such, orc rockets painted yellow create bigger explosions, orc vehicles painted red will go faster, and orc guns are often nothing more than a box with bolts and bits of metal in it. This technology, such as it is the result of a constant stream of poorly thought-out experimentation and attempts to constantly outdo the competition. It is usually as deadly to its operators as to the enemy, and countless orcs have died in the pursuit of building the biggest, fastest, or meanest weaponry. This simplistic and brutal approach is...
You know what is more scary? That since they are very simple-minded to imagine something so powerful. Imagine they invade some, I guess, Imperium city, or I guess Eldar city, or whatever, right? And they discover certain type of technologies and something like a super weapon, nukes type of thing, or anything. They discover that. Now they have that kind of thing in their mind. Now, they don't have to learn that. They just have to understand what that is. Like, oh, it's some kind of a super weapon. Which does is this. I want to build that. They just create this kind of makeshift things. And like, yeah, we build it. Fuck it. There you go. They have that super weapon now. That is so scary. Right now, their imagination is not gonna basically just imagine some kind of super weapon. Because that's not even in their head, right? They're trying to make bigger weapon. But they can't just imagine something advanced. But if they see some plans like that while they're invading some advanced race, I mean, they could basically literally use their power of imagination and create something powerful.
Reflected in every aspect of what they call culture. Questions regarding the nature of the universe that have led entire civilizations to corruption and ruin never occur to orcs in the first place. They have but one philosophy: might makes right. And not one orc has ever doubted this for a single moment. This unshakable self-belief is likely the most dangerous quality of the orcs. For them, the universe is a very simple and straightforward place, free of the angst and worry that plagues most other races. Orcs have little recognition for concepts like fate or destiny, and are not frustrated when their plans fail. Instead, they just try again. Usually in a different way after forgetting how they attempted it the first time. Never does an orc reflect on their own weakness, instead making remarkable progress through bloody trial and error. As long as an orc has someone to fight, someone bigger to tell him who to kill next, and someone smaller to abuse, he will know contentment. War and killing are their only real motivation, the one exception being the desire to possess even bigger and louder weapons or vehicles. Orcs are almost always engaged in a torrent of bloodshed and mindless violence, sometimes against the other races of the galaxy, but typically amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Usually these conflicts are smaller scale or localized, and never develop beyond random outbursts of violence and looting. Sometimes, however, should a particularly skilled war boss achieve a string of successes, orcs will flock to his banner to share in his victories. Once this orc population reaches a form of critical mass, a Waaagh might be declared. Part military campaign and part migration, a Waaagh is a war on an apocalyptic scale. Orcs beyond counting swarm from one continent to the next, and eventually from world to world. As tales of the Waaagh spread, more orc clans will rush to join, while any potential challengers are either defeated and their clan subsumed, or they will take control of the Waaagh themselves.
What?
As this campaign gains more and more momentum, the disparate clans within grow more unified until they represent an unstoppable force on the galactic stage.
That's just
These
terrifying.
Waaghs rarely possess any clear objective, seeking only to unleash as much carnage as possible across the universe. Within
That is literally like natural selection type of shit. They basically fight each other until somebody is strong enough to, I guess, to repel lots of people and defeat them. Then they create this kind of such thing as Waaagh, where they, I guess, fight lots of people, orcs or aliens in multiple continents, in different planets, until every orc is basically either died or united with the Waaagh, basically. So that's literally natural selection. Whoever survived, whoever is badass is part of that tribe now, and they have a singular goal to conquer and destroy more and more planets and species. So basically what you have in the end is pretty damn terrifying.
orc culture, a Waaagh is the ultimate expression of their twin gods, Gork, who is brutal but cunning, and Mork, who is cunning but brutal. While they may seem identical to outsiders, Gork is said to be the god of clobbering, smashing, and killing, while Mork is the god of clobbering, smashing, and killing, while an enemy's back is turned. Orcs exist in every corner of the universe, and there is no environment too extreme for them to not only survive, but flourish. They have been discovered on toxic death planets, depressurized orbital platforms, drifting ice floes, irradiated asteroid fields, inside corrosive swamps, or on lightless nightmare worlds seething with horrific predators. Even in the bombed-out remains of planets subjected to exterminatus, orcs can sometimes be found, and there are rumors of orc enclaves hidden within the Eye of Terror itself.
Sir, somebody in Inquisition, sir, we just destroyed the planet. There is no life among them. Oh, wait a minute, we are detecting something. What the fuck is that? Oh, those are some orcs still living there. That is so fucked up, right? Basically, Imperium basically destroys a planet thinking there is no life can be ever achieved there. The planet is destroyed, move on. But orc can easily just move there and create a settlement.
These holdings vary from pirate outposts that prey on merchant shipping to system-spanning orc empires inhabited by tens of trillions of greenskins. These are normally divided into clans and tribes. Clans are massive groups of orcs who share an enduring philosophical viewpoint on greenskin life, while tribes are much less stable, constantly breaking apart and reforming. A single tribe might include orcs from many different clans, but for the most part, an individual orc's allegiance is to his war boss above his clan. While it can be difficult to distinguish all the orc clans, generally there are 6 that are truly widespread and found in almost every tribe in the galaxy: the Bad Moons, Blood Axes, Death Skulls, Evil Suns, Goths, and Snakebites. It is the dream of every aspirant war boss to one day unite the clans and tribes and usher in an even greater era of slaughter across the galaxy. Many have come close: Clawjaw, the mighty mangler of Bork, Tuska, the demon killer, Snagrod, the arch arsonist, and Nazdrag Ugg Erdgrub, Above them all, however, is the self-proclaimed prophet of the Waaagh, known to the Imperium as the Beast of Armageddon, Ghazghkull Mag Uruk Thraka. The single most influential orc in the galaxy.
Beast of Armageddon. And this is Imperium giving that name, so you know that's some shit. That's some next level shit right there.
Ghazghkull Thraka believes himself to be the instrument of Gork and Mork, destined to lead the greatest Waaagh of all time. This is, in part, due to the work of Mad Dog Grotznik, whose cybernetic enhancements have supposedly allowed Thraka to speak to the great green gods of the orcs directly. Again and again, Ghazghkull has unleashed his followers against the Imperium of Man, or come to the aid of the Octarius Empire in their fight against the Tyranids. But as the time of ending approaches and the great rift of chaos spreads across the galaxy, it is clear that Ghazghkull Thraka has his sights on a higher calling. Across every orc clan and tribe, rumors abound that Ghazghkull will soon proclaim the Ragnarok, a time when every orc shall rise up to conquer the galaxy. In untold numbers, orcs have already started their migration towards the key battles of the Great Waaagh, and should Ragnarok finally be declared, there may be no force in the galaxy strong enough to withstand it.
That was so fucking awesome. The orcs. Basically, their whole goal is to dominate the galaxy. That's it. That's all they want. Just war. Like I've said in the previous videos about the orcs, that this feels really close to Mass Effect's Krogans, right? Because BioWare probably took inspiration from the orcs, because from the tribe to clan chief, everything feels very close. So yeah, this is just fucking awesome. They are way too sturdy, right? Their weapons are also bioweapons in a way. They fucking shoots live things out of their guns. Their power of fucking imagination. Oh god, this is just something. They basically attack each other until everybody joins into this one group, and they expand. They're calling it a Waaagh, right? Try to reunite every single clan, and if they do that, obviously by natural selection, people who are weaker will die in wars, and people who are strong enough will join the cause and basically attack Imperium or anything in the universe, making them literally untouchable. What about the Tyranids, right? Aren't they way too many? Who would win Tyranid versus the Orcs? I think Orcs don't need reinforcement, right? Because there's so many. Even if they die, they can reproduce. So Tyranids, one biggest power is to cut off the warp. Doesn't work here. So I don't know. Orcs might be more powerful than the Tyranids. So Imperium has the threat of chaos, right? Obviously the threat of orcs, they could reunite. And then there is Necrons, who basically are rising in a way. How many threats are there, for fuck's sake? How many enemies you have to look for it in your horizon? Like, I have to fight multiple areas, multiple battles. Oh, fuck it, look at that. Tyranids attacked just now. And few of our colonies and planets are lost. This Warhammer 40,000 is so complex and branches out in so many different directions. It's just perfection. Right, people, that was the Orks Warhammer 40,000 by the channel Templin Institute. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. So I wish I would to react to more, I guess. Comment down if you want me to react to any specific video about Warhammer or anything. Check out the cast for the playlist I created for Warhammer 40,000. That would make you easier to, I guess, find all of my Warhammer reactions. And yeah, I'll see you next time.